monsoon. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it in, but I am glad to be here and with y'all today. Today I'm going to be talking about influence. Influence. How does influence affect you and your job and your team? Anybody here ever been in management? Ever? Okay. Anybody here ever been a parent? Ever? Well, then you've been in management. If you've ever had a younger sibling, you've been in management. Two main things that go into the influence that we have with others. One thing is of ourselves, and then the other is the relationship that we have to others. A lot of people will speak in terms of control. We have to have control. We have to have control of our work. We have to have control of our family. We have to have control of our church. We have to have control of ourselves. And if you're going to have a happy family life, you have to be able to keep those kids under control. Unfortunately, that's kind of a fantasy. The reality is we are out of control more than we are in it. Now, when we start getting into a situation where we want to change someone else, change their personality, that's getting into manipulating someone, trying to make them into what it is that we want. So our focus is really wrong there. Instead of trying to change someone else, what we need to be thinking about is how do I affect this person's behavior as it applies to me. So someone may be very negative, and we can simply say, look, I'm in a good mood today. Can you hold that for another day? If you know that you always have someone who's just going to kind of always rain on your parade, that doesn't mean that you have to take on that negative energy. So it's not about how we change someone else, but it is how we can influence someone else's behavior. Two main factors, though, as I was saying earlier. One is our credibility. Are we honest? Are we generally positive? Are we someone that others want to be around, or do other people find us obnoxious? Hopefully not. The second part of that is our attitude towards others. The attitude that we have towards others. Are we receiving of other people even when they have their mistakes? But influence is something to where we might be able to cause people to begin to see things our way. And that's huge in management and in sales. Now, how many of y'all read Laurie's blog post on Facebook? Nobody? Because I responded once she said that Blaine is speaking, and I even put another post in there. Let me read that to you so you'll understand what it says. Mr. Little has traveled the country sharing his knowledge with other professionals like you. Certified national trainer and sales coach Blaine Little will lead us through the ins and outs of what influence is and how it works. Where does it come from, and how to avoid the pitfalls in sales and in life. This is a one-of-a-kind presentation and is just a small portion of what Blaine has taught sales representatives, managers, and C-suite executives. If you have meetings this Friday, skip them. If you have appointments, reschedule them. You do not want to miss this Momentum Seminars production of Blaine Little, brought to you by the Nashville Networking Business Luncheon. Blaine will be available immediately after the meeting for autographs and photos. Why are you laughing? We expect a capacity crowd and invite friends quick, as seating is limited and strictly on a first-come, first-served basis. There is a wonderful book that's called Influence by Robert Cialdini. Now, Robert has written about 4 or 5 books, and they all say influence and then some sort of subtitle, so I forget which one this is. But he says there's 6 influencers. Actually, there's 7. But there's 6 influencers that he really goes into depth in there. And you have this on your little green sheets. And we'll cover them for you. One thing is consistency or commitment. Well, as I put in the copy, I was just assuming that you were going to be here today. And I wrote that copy for you, understanding that you would be back again. Let me ask you this in sales. Who are our best customers? Are they not many times existing customers? Because we already have a relationship with them. And they're good for referrals, even if they may not need our services again in several years. So we've already bridged the gap in terms of trust. Do we do a good job for them? So we have to keep that in mind, that a lot of times it's that consistency. We can take old customers and turn them into new customers again. Reciprocity. If you give me something, I'm going to feel compelled to give you something in return. If you make a sales call with someone, bring some sort of a little tchotchke. Just some little prop, something that's a memento that you can hand them. Even if it's just a little pen with your name and contact information on it. Because it puts in their mind, oh, this person gave me a gift. I feel compelled to give them something back in return. And if for any would-be fence setters, that may just kind of pull them over to actually doing business with you. Social proof. Social proof. We're more apt to do business with someone who has done business with a lot of other people. Logically, I'm not exactly sure I understand that, but we want to go to the busy realtor to buy our home. We want to go to the busy salesman on the car lot to buy our car. Why would we not go with the person who has more time for us? Our brain doesn't work that way. We just feel that there's safety in numbers. So we want the social proof. How many of y'all use testimonials in your marketing piece? Absolutely. If you haven't, you've got to start doing that. Authority. Authority. Does someone have a degree in that field or a certification or just a lot of life experience? We gravitate and trust people who have authority in a field. Liking. As I talked about earlier, people just cannot find as obnoxious. But more than that, people tend to want to do business with other people who are most similar to them. So if you're of a similar age, similar background. You ever been to another state on vacation and you come across someone from Tennessee? You're like, oh my God, you're from Tennessee? I'm from Tennessee. She might be an axe murderer. I don't know. Just because they're from Tennessee doesn't mean they're necessarily good people, but there's an affinity there because we feel like there's a relationship. And finally, scarcity. Scarcity. My teenage daughters will do this many times in that they've related a couple of stories where they've gone to go buy a dress for prom or just some special occasion. And they've been in the store and they're eyeing this one particular dress. And one of the girls saying, well, I kind of like it, I'm just not really sure. And then another young lady will come in and say, ooh, I like that dress too. And go to the sales representative, start asking questions about it. And they're like, oh, I'll take it. Because it's almost gone. It's almost gone. So when there is that sense of scarcity, it builds a sense of urgency to move now, to move on it now. So, as I was reading the copy that I read to you earlier on Facebook, let's go through this and see if you can point out which is which of these 6 influencers that you have on your green sheet. Now, number 1 I will give to you, because this was something that went out to everyone on either an email list or you saw on Laurie's Facebook page. So the fact that I posted it where you would normally see these announcements is consistency. All right. As I go through the copy, Mr. Little has traveled the country sharing his knowledge with other professionals like you. Which influencer is that?
Social proof.
Very close, but I'm like you. So it is liking. It's liking. But liking is more of a one-on-one than a social. It's kind of the same dynamic, but it's because, I'm a business person, you're business people. Certified national trainer and sales coach, Blaine Little, will lead us through the ins and outs of what influence is and how to use it. Which one is that? Authority, because I do have a certification. And I actually had to go and spend a week in Kansas City a couple of years ago to get that certification on my own dime. And then you're done, you have to present in front of, they call them coaches, about 8 times. And then a month later, after a team of executives watch it, they'll give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You have to wait and see how you do it. But I did get the certification. Where does it come from? How to avoid its pitfalls in sales and in life. This is a one-of-a-kind presentation and is just a small portion of what Blaine has taught to sales representatives, managers, and C-suite executives. Which one is that? That's the social proof. That's the social proof. So there's another large pool of people with whom I have discussed. And I went over a lot of this with corporate executives about 2 weeks ago in Huntsville. Blaine will be available immediately after the meeting for autographs and photos. Which one is that? Reciprocity. Even if I'm just giving you something that's just some little thing like my autograph, or I'll take a picture with you, whatever. I will be around. Take a picture with you, whatever. You feel compelled to give something back to that person. And last, we expect a capacity crowd. Invite friends quick, as seating is limited and strictly on a first-come, first-served basis. Which influencer is that? Scarcity. So remember to use those 6 different influencers in your marketing and in your sales presentation. And if you really master these, then you will notice that you will have more productivity in your business.